Right now on Caps 13 News, the state of Kansas remains silent on their revenue forecast, and the city of Pittsburgh decorates downtown for the holidays. Plus, a speaker advocating inclusivity visits the Pittsburgh State campus. All that and more on this edition of Caps 13 News.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Caps 13 News. I'm Taylor Blair.
And I'm Alexis Arenas Andrade. A local business brings live music to Southeast Kansas.
And a new restaurant is under construction in the North Pittsburgh area. But first, a nonprofit community kitchen anticipates their Pittsburgh opening. The Lord's Diner is a nonprofit community kitchen that was started by the Catholic Diocese in Wichita about 14 years ago. Now they make their final preparations for the opening in Pittsburgh location. Libby Shea has more.
The new nonprofit organization in Pittsburgh, Kansas, the Lord's Diner, is the very first location outside of Wichita. Director Matt O'Malley gives us some details on the timeline of the project.
This has been in the works for about 3 years in Pittsburgh. They actually bought these buildings in May, and I was brought on as the first staff member in August. So it goes back several years, but really it's all been happening the past 4 months.
The Lord's Diner is expecting to serve their first meal on January 1st, 2017, to serve their first meal on the first day of the year. They are estimating to serve about 200 to 250 people per night. They also take volunteers, and there are 2 different ways a person can help out.
One is with meal prep. And so you come in and work with staff from 11 to 2 and make the food. The other is meal service. You would come in from 5 to 8 and serve the food. At this point, basically a group will come in on the same date of every month.
With the 30 dates they had to fill, they only have 5 left, so they are still wanting some volunteers. There are a combination of high school and college students, churches of all different faiths, local businesses, civic groups, social groups, but anyone who wants to serve is welcome to.
PSU Athletics, Sigma Chi, PSU SGA, and St. Pius X have already committed to help volunteer for the Lord's Diner.
They are located at 406 North Locust and will serve a meal every day from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. For Caps 13 News, I'm Libby Shea.
A student-led organization keeps making a difference during the holiday season for cancer patients. Love Your Melon set up a table in the Student Center to allow Pitt State students the opportunity to write letters and create cards for children battling cancer as part of their card drive. The purpose for these cards and letters are to encourage and motivate cancer patients during difficult times and to hopefully bring a smile to their faces. They also set up a memory board so that ongoers can write their loved ones' names on it as a way to remember them. With the start of the holiday season, a simple card can make a difference in the children's lives.
These kids think it's so cool that these people from all over the place are sending all these cards, and they know their story and they know what they're going through, and that they have all this love and support from all over the country. So it just means a lot to all of these kids that we're supporting them, and other Love Your Melon crews do the same thing that we're doing, and so it just means a lot to them to have that support.
Crew recently held a Cyber Monday special in which they met their goal of selling 250 items, which grants them the opportunity to give a local child battling cancer the chance to make one of their dreams come true. For more information on this organization, visit their official social media pages, which can be seen on screen.
Kansas Governor Sam Brownback has yet to release any indications of revenue estimates for the November period. Earlier this month, Kansas State Budget Director Sean Sullivan put out a conservative revenue forecast which projected a $350 million shortfall. However, a monthly revenue report shows that the forecast wasn't adequately cut, which means the state's lawmakers will confront a larger shortfall than estimated. In the past 2 years, November revenue collectors have exceeded estimates. Governor Brownback is holding back on making cuts and is creating an action plan for the future. This decision sparked complaints among various Kansas lawmakers. His administration stated that the governor will wait until January to release a new proposal and will not proceed with making cuts. In the past, Kansas governors have taken action after the crucial November revenue results. Spokeswoman Malika Willoughby said that while no decision was made on Brownback's behalf, the budget proposal will not include layoffs or major cuts. She indicates there are steps to build a balanced budget.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. The city of Pittsburgh has put up the downtown Christmas lights for this holiday season. Caps 13's Gracie Spencer has more.
If you've Driven down Broadway lately, you may have noticed something a little different than usual. Downtown Pittsburgh is looking merry and very bright because of a favorite hometown tradition, the downtown Christmas lights.
Yeah, we put them up 2 weeks before the parade every year. So you can kind of see them during the day, but we don't light them until the parade every year, which was Monday.
This is the first year that the city crews actually put up the decorations themselves rather than having Westar do it. And even though it only took the crews one evening to complete, it's no easy job.
There are hundreds and thousands of lights, the actual lights themselves. The bells, I don't know, 15 blocks. It looks like, and the bells are huge. I mean, you can't really tell. But there's a lot of them that are probably almost where they'd be antiques, but there's hundreds of them.
This may seem like a lot of work for just Christmas decorations, but the citizens of Pittsburgh take this tradition very seriously.
I mean, it's quite a tradition, and we may hear more about Christmas lights and how they look. Last couple of years we changed a couple of things because the old ones kind of ran out, and a lot of people were weighing in on, I don't like this, I don't like that, what happened to the colors, what happened to the lights. So yeah, it's a big deal.
The Christmas lights are so loved and cherished by the residents of Pittsburgh that in order to keep the tradition alive and maintained, they've started a fund specifically for the lights that anyone in town can donate to.
There's actually a fund set up by some very dear old Pittsburgh folks that left money just for the Christmas lights, and you can also contribute to the Christmas light fund if you want to.
The city plans to continue the Christmas lights because of how important they are to the people of Pittsburgh.
There's something about going down Main Street and with enough buildings that are still there. Block 22 is a good example, maintaining those buildings and then those lights. So I think it's a critical part of Pittsburgh.
For CAPS 13 News, I'm Gracie Spencer.
Coming up, a Pittsburgh business brings live music to Southeast Kansas residents.
And a new construction on Pittsburgh's North End. Stick around.
I've got a lot of things on my mind. Some things might make you laugh, some things might make you cry, some things might even compromise national security. Why is the internet so obsessed with cats? Hashtag dogs are better. Sorry, but it's true. I can't wait for my trip to Vegas this week, and hashtag Friday can't get here fast enough. Have a nice trip. I hate my job. My boss is such a Oh, crap.
From McCray Hall to the beautiful Bignell Center, Pittsburgh State has two great places for listening to live music. But for our 21 and older students and our thriving local bands, the town of Pittsburgh has a great place to be. CAPS 13 Michael Kloss visited this local hotspot to find out more.
TJ Leland's, located off 6th and Broadway, is a great spot for Pittsburgh residents to socialize and listen to some awesome local and non-local music. John Coots and his wife Terry run this bar, and it has been many different things before TJ Leland's.
It's had different things throughout the years in this place, and then in 2012 is when we actually officially opened.
John's passion for music inspired him to allow various bands, mostly local, to come and play for the people of Pittsburgh. but this isn't a typical music venue. This place has a lot of history built into it.
Store all of these things, whether it's, you know, the lights that came from the Stillwell Hotel or the floors or everything has a story to it and a history, and that history has a feeling to it that people embrace. And so you have that, and then you have the intimacy, but then you have the bands that we're just dedicated to. And these musicians, so many of them are, not only are they just good musicians, they're just damn good people, and you feel the place.
TJ's is always bringing in new things and open to all types of various genres and acts.
We have all kinds of music. We've had anything from country to grunge metal. We've had gypsy sideshows that were kind of cool. We've had those come through here. All kinds of different stuff.
If you or your band is interested in playing here, contact TJ Leland's through their Facebook or email.
You send us a demo or you send us a link or anything like that, just reach out to us via email, via Facebook or whatever it is, that type of thing. And then we usually go from there.
For Caps 13, I'm Michael Klaus.
Coming this spring, a well-known restaurant chain will be opening here in Pittsburgh. Jimmy's Egg, the franchise that hit the scene nearly 30 years ago in Oklahoma City, broke ground early August of this year and looks to be the 52nd location to open in the chain's history. Jimmy's Egg is known for serving an all-day breakfast menu, which includes everything from omelets and pancakes to salads and burgers. The award-winning breakfast chain will be serving 7 days a week from 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. and is located near Aldi on North Broadway. The restaurant will bring a few more jobs to the area as well. About a month before opening, the company will be advertising to hire roughly 20 to 30 new employees.
After a long and legal financial process, the Jolly Fox Brewery has found a location on the corner of North Walnut Street and 2nd Street. The new site will be located behind the Mexican restaurant El Caballo de Oro. Joe Stewart, the owner and head brewer master, states that the brewery is still waiting for the licensing process, which could take up to 8 to 10 months. The location will have a patio where people can sit outside and overlook Miners Park. Their plan is to have local food trucks around to provide food for customers.
Coming up, the Pittsburgh State women's and men's basketball team heads to Puerto Rico.
Plus, we continue our look at a club athletics at the Pittsburgh State campus with a visit to PSUFC. Ian Arnis has your Caps 13 sports update after this.
With football season all wrapped up, we get into all sorts of basketball action this week. Also, the men's and women's indoor track and field team earned preseason top 25 rankings. And lastly, a tragic situation involving a Brazilian soccer team. We start with basketball as both men and women traveled to San Juan, Puerto Rico for the Puerto Rico Challenge over Thanksgiving with vastly different results. First with the Lady Gorillas facing off against Proficio Catholic, and they get out to a double-digit lead in every quarter, ending the game 64-44. Madison Northcutt led the team with 9 points, and Hayden Herlocker dished out 7 assists, and Brianna McPherson got up for 9 rebounds. As for Proficio, Yolanda Pegan, she led both teams with 17 points in the loss. Game 2 had the Lady Gorillas up against the West Alabama Tigers, and this jungle got rumbled. It was the Gorillas that came out victorious to the tune of 67-49 as Michaela Burgess had a team-high 14 points. Hayden Herlocker led the team with both assists and rebounds in the victory for the Tigers. Ariella Wilson had a game-high 16 points, and Peyton Parker added 4 assists in the loss. The last game was a record for the program as they allowed only 25 points in their win against Puerto Rico Pietres. The Gorillas put up 86 points themselves in the contest, with Burgess leading the way with 26. Yes, Michaela Burgess outscored the other team by herself. Hayden Herlocker added 7 assists, and Brenly McPherson added 9 rebounds. As for Puerto Rico, their top scorer was Gabriela Malandro with 8. Sally Albejado had 7 assists, and Gabriela Malandro had 4 rebounds. These wins in Puerto Rico moved Pitt State to 7-0 on the year. The season stats have Hayden Herlocker, Michaela Burgess and Herlocker and Northcutt leading the pack in points, assists, and rebounds respectively. The Lady Gorillas are back in town and in action tonight against Nebraska Kearney, and again on Saturday, December 3rd at John Lance Arena. The men's basketball team began the year 1-3 heading into the Puerto Rico Challenge. Their win against Newman Jets was a little more than 2 weeks ago, and things did not go their way down south either. We start with the stat line from the game against Puerto Rico, as the Gorillas had the lead going into the half 28-22, but Puerto Rico was able to put up 41 points in the second half to steal the win 63-60. Dakota Jones led Pitt State with 16 points. Cretan Brinker picked up 6 rebounds for the Gorillas in the loss. On the other side, Luis Lopez led all scorers with 24 points. Game 2 of the 3-game challenge pinned Pitt State against the St. Edwards Hilltoppers, and after being tied at 24 going into halftime, St. Edwards won by 8, 62-54. Isaiah Hicks led the team in points with 12 and rebounds with 8. For St. Andrews, John Gilmick had 15 points, Sean Watkins had 5 assists, and James Taylor led both sides with 11 rebounds. The men's final matchup in Puerto Rico was against the St. Rose Golden Knights, losing 44-67. Jordan Phelps was the lead scorer for Pitt with 9. R.J. Pear added 7 assists, and Elijah Gaines grabbed 6 rebounds. For the victorious Golden Knights, Julian Limpinski led all scorers with 14 and garnered 8 rebounds on the night. This put an end to the miserable road trip for the Gorillas, who are now off to a 1-6 start on the season. The season leaders for stats has Dakota Jones averaging 10.7 points per game, and the men will also open their next couple of games at home. They tip off against Nebraska Kearney at 7:30 at John Lance Arena. The preseason rankings were released this past Tuesday for the indoor track and field, and the Gorilla women drew the #1 ranking, putting them ahead of the last year's national champions, Lincoln University. The Lady Gorillas finished 4th overall in last year's and looked to take another step forward. This is the first time in program's history that their women have earned this honor. The men also got top 25 recognition as well, coming in at 10th. Both sides open up the season December 9th and 10th at the Robert W. Plaster Center. Pittsburg State has many clubs and organizations that are on the rise. More popular is Pitt FC. Caps 13's Trey Mayhew has more.
Pitt FC is the Pittsburg State University soccer club team. The team is comprised of players of all levels. They have been an active club team for the past couple years. With club soccer being one of the rare club sports in the MIAA, it's hard for the team to really get exposure and compete against other MIAA schools. Pitt FC welcomes all students. The more numbers, the better. Because of the lack of competition, it's only right to make each other better and get that competitive edge going. The team meets about 3 times a week in the Bignell Sports Complex. If you are interested in joining the team, search PSU FC on Facebook. For Caps 13, I'm Trey Mayhew.
We end our sports report tonight on a sad note as a flight carrying 77 people crashed and killing 71 of them. The plane was en route to Colombia from Brazil. On board was staff and players from the Cinderella Story soccer team Chapacos. It is a story that has shaken the sports world and has prompted responses from around the world. Many teams holding moments of silence as their opponents in the tournament that they were flying to have requested that the team be awarded the trophy. Also, the league they participate in has requested that the team stay in the first division and is allowed to loan players free of charge during the next 3 seasons. While it's a nice gesture that will go a long way towards healing, it doesn't take away from the tragedy that took place only days ago. That's it for the Caps 13 Sports Update. Coming up, a speaker visits the Pittsburg State campus to discuss student diversity. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. As we wrap up our show, a well-known transgender speaker, consultant, publisher, and author of the book Second Son visited the PSU campus this week.
That's right. I even got to attend one of his seminars where he spread his wise words about identity, challenge, and openness.
Ryan Salins is a man with a mission to help young people everywhere feel comfortable in their own skin.
Biggest message I want to get across to my audiences is to be able to open your hearts. And if you are experiencing something in life that's not something you've experienced in the past, to be able to just be open and listen to other people's stories. And that's why over the past 12 years I've been doing storytelling with transgender identities and issues, because I have seen that storytelling is the most effective way to break down the defenses that many people form around things that they do not understand.
For the past 15 years, Ryan has conducted over 1,000 presentations and training sessions, talking to students and adults alike on college and university campuses around the nation. Programming requested by the campuses includes learning about transgender identities and hearing his transition story titled Scouting the Unknown. Ryan's gender diversity training course, Transgender Employees in the Workplace, has been conducted globally and is having major impacts on students everywhere, even here at PSU.
Negative feelings, but I think it's important it's your responsibility as a consumer in society to inform yourself about what's going on in the world around you.
Ryan hopes that his story will help other young people who are struggling to embrace their identity and to not be afraid to be different. If you're interested in hearing more about Ryan Salins, you can search his website online at ryansalins.com. For CAPS 13, I'm Taylor Blair.
I actually got the chance to sit down with Ryan after his seminar, and I got to talk to him, and I figured out that he's definitely just a very motivated man that really wants to go out and change the lives of all the struggling young people out there.
I do agree with you, Taylor. One of my friends actually attended the seminar and said that it was really good for him to come to Pitt State University because it gave a lot of our students kind of a different take on this controversial topic that faces our generation.
Well, that does it for this week's edition of CAPS 13 News. For more archived episodes, you can go to the Pittsburgh State website and search broadcasting.
Also visit us on Twitter at caps_13. Stay tuned to CAPS 13 for more great programs.
Home for the weekend. See you Monday.
Are you afraid that your child might have dyslexia or a reading difficulty? If so, you're not alone. 1 in 5 children experience reading failure. Your child might have dyslexia or a reading difficulty if he or she sounds out the first part of a word and guesses the rest of it, avoids reading, is falling behind his or her class in reading, or hates to read out loud. We know how much parents and teachers worry about their children and students who are experiencing reading difficulty. Complete the online assessment with your child at readingscreening.org.
Black smoke pouring out a tailpipe down a dirt road. Barbed wire fence posts and blue skies forever. White